Hello and welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering from ELD's Time Vault Games. We've got Heather on Infect playing against Billy with Eldrazi. This could actually be over in the blink of an eye. However, Billy does have an Endless One for one to potentially block this Glistener Elf. And there's a Pendelhaven along with Noble Hierarch. And that is going to be a actually chump block here. Soaking up 3 damage, 3 poison essentially, and now an Eldrazi Mimic. Berserk, the danger card in this matchup. It's going to be able to trample past blockers potentially for only 1 green since the very beginning of the game, and now we've got a 4/4 Glistener Elf blocked thanks to all of those Noble Hierarch triggers. Chalice of the Void coming down. And actually getting countered with Daze. A Wasteland does stop the Pendelhaven from being relevant in the future. And now Vines and Invigorate close things out. So that was a very interesting sequence there. We had a Daze able to stop the Chalice of the Void. So Daze was able to stop Chalice, but Billy hadn't played his Wasteland for turn, so he could have potentially paid the 1 mana to keep the Chalice around if he had sequenced that differently. On the other side of the board, with a Chalice in play, then the Vines of Vastwood wouldn't be something that you could resolve, but you do get 3, so 4, 5 with the Pendelhaven, plus 4. Yikes, that's right down to it. That is super close, so Billy probably would have taken at least 9 poison if he had sequenced that differently. And that is what Legacy is like. A game of inches. There's tiny little decisions that sometimes will be the thing that'll determine who wins or loses a given game. He was certainly way behind there, but you know what? If he manages to stick another creature or two, then perhaps he would have been able to find his way out of that. Until eventually maybe something like an Endbringer comes down and can kill the Glistener Elf. Warping Whale. I mean, there's some things that could happen. Umezawa's Jite is a card that Eldrazi can make good use of, and that card is one of the most devastating things that can show up against Infect, or Elves for that matter. That's just a really, really good card. Unfortunately, it's not great in matchups that don't have creatures to kill, but anything that has a bunch of X1s in it, you are happy to mow those down just by removing counters from the Jite. Billy will have the play, and he's going to be hoping for a lot of things to come together here. Chalice at 1, Wasteland, a reasonable clock. We have a Noble Hierarch leading out with Heather. And there's a Thorn of Amethyst. Which can be helpful, but perhaps not as strong as actually shutting off all of the pump spells. And wow, we've got Blighted Agent and Inkmoth Nexus added in the same turn. And now a Thought-Knot Seer. This is a quality card. A Swords to Plowshares and a Force of Vigor are the options. Swords gets taken. Force of Vigor remains. And Heather can send in, I believe that's a Force of Vigor. It's going to make any future artifacts wait their turn. Mishra's Factory and Thought-Knot Seer attacking. Heather, no green card to punish the activation of the factory, as that is an artifact. And now she can actually hardcast a Force of Vigor, thanks to the Noble Hierarch. Ooh, Reality Smasher. adding an extra 5 hasty damage. Factory no longer animated. Inkmoth Nexus standing up and taking a chump block. Now, she's been chipping in there each turn for 2 poison at a time. A couple of pump spells would really turn this around. Invigorate Berserk is enough to actually take out an opponent from 0 poison counters. What has Heather drawn here? Having done just 4 poison damage. Nope, going up to 6. Not going to do it. And plenty of time left here for game number 3. This time Heather with the play. We'll see how explosive of a start she can manage, as Infect is capable of winning the game on turn 2. So Heather opening up here with the basic forest, protection against Wasteland, Noble Hierarch. Generally going to be safe, but this game actually Warping Whale taking it out. Very often those removal spells are going to find their way toward the Infect creatures, but Billy opting to bolt the bird, as they say. Get rid of that mana producer from turn 1. Try and set Heather back. We are talking about a deck that can kill you on 1 land. A Ponder. Ponder and Brainstorm, important parts. So many decks in the format, and this is one of the decks where you kind of hope to not need it. I mean, you definitely run it because you're going to need it sometimes, but ideally everything just kind of comes together and you've got the right mix of creatures, pump spells, counter magic to protect things, and of course the mana to cast them. And a lot of the time the cantrips in this deck feel really slow. I mean, they're not. They're only 1 mana. But they can feel really slow in Infect. If you take a turn or 2 off, luckily Heather able to land a threat. It's like every turn that you don't have a creature with Infect out turning sideways feels like you're getting time walked. Mostly because, if you are able to get a creature down, you still can't attack with it. And now Sylvan Library, a fairly slow card. Definitely at its strongest versus decks that don't care about attacking your life total. It looks like a Vines of Vastwood taken, leaving a Swords to Plowshares, which can get this Thought-Knot Seer out of there. And depending on what this Sylvan draws, this could actually be over right now. Just Swordsing a Thought-Knot Seer would clear the way. Pendlehaven brings it up to 2 damage with poison, and then a couple of Invigorates. There's so many different combinations of spells that can be good enough. So Swords allows for an extra random card being drawn, shuffle effect being needed prior in order to cast the Swords. Now Pendlehaven pumps, and that is it. No additional pumps. Berserk needs to be used at the end of a series of pump spells, and now Reality Smasher making this super dicey. Heather's life total very much under attack. Reality Smasher coming in for 5 for only 5 mana. Trample, haste, difficult to remove. I mean, it's pretty dangerous. One of the selling points of these kind of Eldrazi decks, especially with Eldrazi Mimic. Now Matter Reshaper looking to stand in front of this Glistener Elf. Heather cannot attack unless she's going to be able to trample over in all likelihood. Swords to Plowshares. Going after the Reality Smasher. And now Noble Hierarch able to, with Pendlehaven, make this an unfavorable block. So go into a 2-3 with Pendlehaven, and then a 3-4. However, Walking Ballista is revealed and put into Billy's hand. And that's a blowout card. Easy to miss there with the Matter Reshaper. The ability to put the card into the hand if you want. Doesn't come up very often. Well, I guess Endless One as well. But Walking Ballista is just a hellacious card in this matchup. It's going to be very difficult to keep a threat online against the Ballista. And it looks like Ballista is taken down. Thought-Knot Seer pumping up. Eldrazi Mimic living his best life, putting Heather down to just 1. Mimic just loves the synergy with Thought-Knot Seer, Reality Smasher, and of course, really large Endless Ones. I've seen some builds with Dreadnought. Those are spicy. Endbringer. Even if Heather gets through this, it looks like this Endbringer will be able to ping and do the final point of damage. Making some blocks, but not likely to be enough here. Sylvan Library digging, and that is going to do it as Billy takes this one down in 3 in a back and forth match. That is all for this one, but don't worry, there is a lot more. You can check out our older videos, and we're always putting out new videos from ELD's Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Massachusetts. If you want to help the channel, of course, you can like, subscribe, share, tap that notification bell so you can know the next time our new videos come out. Thanks for watching.